Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. Now, in our last video, we went through the incredible Schondorf series of all of the Mozart serenades and divertimenti, one of the great sets of recordings ever made in the history of humanity. Now we're back to our normal slog through Mozart operas and other goodies. And we do have some real goodies here, I have to say, in this particular clump. Let's take a look, shall we? We begin with George Szell with members of the Budapest String Quartet and Raphael Druyan with Mozart piano quartets. The Szell at the piano. Yeah, I kid you not. Recorded in 1946. And two violin sonatas. Recorded in 1967 in New York. Classic stuff. Absolutely wonderful. That's on Sony, what was this? Masterworks Portrait. Remember those? Yes, I mean those were actually originally on LP, and then they came out on CD as well. Not terribly well remastered, if at all, but this is all the Szell box now, so it's fine. Then we've got Arthur Rubinstein with the Guarnieri Quartet in the Mozart Piano Quartets. A beautiful disc, absolutely lovely, first class. And you know there is a Guarnieri Quartet big box that just arrived. So we'll be revisiting these very shortly. I'm just telling you, it's out there. The Guarnieri Quartet was one of those string quartets that did really outstanding work throughout most of its career, but didn't get a lot of the, I think, acclaim and attention it deserved, largely because RCA had no clue what to do with chamber music. They really didn't. I mean, if you had a big soloist like Rubinstein, they could flog it somehow. But otherwise, they were sort of at sea when it came to that more intimate variety of classical music. So, yeah, but it's there, and they issued it in a box, so we'll be talking about the box. That's a good thing. Mozart, flute concertos, clarinet concerto. Okay, we have Eugenia Zuckerman is the flutist with the English Chamber Orchestra under Pinchas Zuckerman. They're two lovely performances of two totally uninteresting concertos, and the clarinet concerto with Robert Marcellus and George Szell and the Cleveland Orchestra. Now we're smoking. Yeah, that's great. That's, what is this, Essential Classics? I mean, it's no disservice to the Zuckermans, who do a perfectly fine job with the music. It's just the music itself isn't anything special. Clifford Curzon doing Mozart Piano Concertos 23 and 24 with the London Symphony and Istvan Kertész. Absolutely splendid. Splendid singleton version. We also were doing these as the greatest recordings ever. This could have been one for sure. A beautiful disc of two Mozart concerti with Curzon, who was very particular about what he agreed to release. And then we have on Denon. Oh yeah, this is wonderful. These three Denons are the complete Mozart string quintets with the Smetana Quartet and Joseph Suk extra viola. And my goodness, they're marvelous. These were some of the first recordings. I think these were the first recordings of the Mozart quintets to come out on CD. They were co-productions with Supraphon and Denon. And I'm so happy that they existed, and I've saved them ever since. I don't know if they're still around or if they were ever boxed up. I don't see them on Supraphon. And I mean, it's one of the greatest quartets in the universe. And Suk was an amazing violinist / violist, and the recordings are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. First-rate performances, early digital, but very, very well made. And wow, yeah, these are like important. Are they upside down and backwards? Yeah, because to get the English this way, you have to do it like that way. But those are classic quintet recordings, and they are some of the those videos about things you own to make your friends jealous. Well, I mean, this is one of those sets. Absolutely. Mozart, the Abduction with Schulte. This is his second. Is this his second abduction or his first? He did two magic flutes. Maybe it's his first. I don't know. It's with Edita Gruberova, Kathleen Battle, Gustav Winberg, Heinz Zednik, Marty Talvala, and Vil Quadflieg as Bassa Salim with the Vienna Philharmonic. It's a very, very good. Lots of people do this opera well. They really do, because it's all about getting wonderful singers and just letting them go. And Schulte does that, so good for him. And then we have this one. Oh, the violin concertos with with Isaac Stern, and these are really good. And the other violin and orchestra pieces with the Cleveland Orchestra and George Szell in some, and the English Chamber Orchestra with Alexander/Sasha/Schneider conducting equally well. Alexander Schneider was the principal violin or second violin actually, right? For the Budapest String Quartet for a while. One of those, he came, he left, he came back. Anyway, this is on Sony Odyssey. Cheapy, and very, very good. Typical of the labels to be giving away their patrimony for very little money. And that's why I saved it. Finally, here is such nostalgia. Unbelievable nostalgia already. The Christopher Hogwood Mozart Symphony Cycle. All in this handy little box of 19 CDs containing 68 works. Contains symphonies 1 through 41 plus 27 other symphonic works and alternative versions of numbers 31, 35, and 40. Wow, on period instruments. Do you remember how exciting this was? I mean, they were issued in boxes of like 3 discs, I believe, organized thematically by what the repertoire was. And they had extensive notes, beautiful booklets. I mean, they were on Loiselier library editions, and they just haven't held up very well at all. People have learned to play period instruments with a little bit more intonational accuracy, and perhaps imbuing the music with more warmth. I mean, in those days, we were excited by like the really fast tempos. You know, like at the finale of the Hofner Symphony. You know, da 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 da, ba da 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 da, ya da 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 da, bam bam bam, ya da 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 da, the timpani da 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 da, boom, da 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 boom, da 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 da. You know, it was like a big deal. But going back and reading the notes and listening to these performances, I think, it was an experiment, and at best a partially successful experiment, especially in the late symphonies. It really was. I admire what they did, but it was more of a symposium than a effective performance of Mozart's symphonic oeuvre. That's really what it was. I remember very vividly the things that we made a big deal about, that we cared about, that had nothing to do with effective musical performance in terms of, expressivity, which is what we listened to it for, right? I mean, they were doing some of the early symphonies that Mozart wrote that were premiered when he was in Italy writing those operas and whatnot. And they discovered, there was something about instruments in Italy at that time used 2 harpsichords. And so they've used double harpsichord continuos in these works. Of course, Mozart was like Haydn. He never wrote a continuo part for any of his symphonies. And you may use it or you may not. I mean, they may know that he used it. I don't know. But I will say that, we put it on and we're listening so hard to hear that 2 harpsichords banging and clanging away under the music. We're going, oh, that's so cool. Look, 2 harpsichords. Well, yeah, but what about the music? What the music is about and what Mozart's doing, and why would we do that? Looking back on it now, they were historical reconstructions, speculative historical reconstructions. And so, I keep it for sentimental reasons and for the occasional musical insight. Yes, there is the alternative versions of things and some of the other music that, qualified kind of sort of as a symphony if you did it a certain way. But come on, it's a tribute to imaginative scholarship rather than great Mozart. That's how I feel about it. And I'm keeping it just for that reason. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.